Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. I am FARHANA, the chairwoman of board directors in Petronas.
Hello and Assalamualaikum. My name is IZZATUL AQILAH binti HAMDAN as a managing director of Petronas.
Hello, my name is Fatin and I am independent executive director of Petronas.
Assalamualaikum and hi, I am NABIHAH and I am the independent non-executive director of Petronas.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is ZAHIRAH and I am the non-independent non-executive director of Petronas.
Assalamualaikum. Hi, I'm NURIN. I'm as a company secretary Petronas.
Hi, it's me, AIMI. For the introduction, we know that financial management is a management activity that involves planning control in a company financial resources in order to maximize the return on investment. So the internal management report is prepared by using the per group comparison method to analyze the financial statement of Petronas, and our benchmark company is Shell in the same industry, which is oil and gas industry. Plus, my group work at Petronas as a chairman, board of directors and executive members. Next, I will talk briefly about the business nature of Petronas. Petronas or Petroleum Nasional Berhad is a Malaysian oil and gas company founded in 1974. Petronas ranked the 12th most profitable firm in the world and the most profitable in Asia by fortune. Petronas also developed from a domestic-based national oil business into a fully integrated oil and gas multinational corporation.
I would like presenting business nature of Shell. Malaysia's oil and gas industry, namely Shell, began with humble beginnings in 1891. Shell began operation in Malaysia under the name Samel and Company, established oil storage tanks at various trade settlement ports. Shell discovers Malaysia's first oil well. Shell has been partner in filling Malaysia's program for over 125 years. They have pioneered Malaysia's oil and gas industry and fueled its growth.
And last is me again, AIMI, in the calculation ratio of Petronas. As you can see here, the calculation of the liquidity ratio in current ratio, quick ratio, net working capital ratio in the Petronas for 2018, 2019, 2020. So let's move to the next ratio, namely activity ratio. Here is included 5 things, a little bit more compared to the liquidity ratio just now. So here you can see the inventory turnover, average collection period, and the account receivable turnover. Move to the next ratio is leverage and solvency ratio. It consists 3 things here, as you can see in the slide. First, debt ratio, second, debt to equity, and the third one is time interest earned. So here, the last activity ratio is about the profitability ratio. It also includes 5 things here. So here in the slide, you can see the calculation of the gross profit margin, operating profit margin, net profit margin, return on asset, and lastly is return on equity. Last but not least, all the calculation ratio you see just now is taken from the year 2018, 2019, 2020 in the company, namely Petronas. I think that's all from me. Thank you.
This is the calculation ratio of Shell in 3 years, which is 2018, 2019 and 2020. Liquidity ratios divide into 3, that is current ratio, good ratio and net working capital. Activity ratios consist of 5, which is inventory turnover, average collection period, account receivable turnover, fixed asset turnover and total assets turnover. Next is leverage or solvency ratios. It also divides into 3, which is debt ratio, debt to equity and time to interest earned. And last but not least is profitability ratios. Profitability ratios have 5, that is gross profit margin, operating profit margin, net profit margin, return on assets and return on equity.
Move to the horizontal analysis of Petronas. There are 4 things that I'm going to explain. The first one is horizontal analysis of liquidity ratios. Second, horizontal analysis of activity ratios. Third, horizontal analysis of leverage ratios. And fourth, horizontal analysis of profitability ratios. Starting from the horizontal analysis of liquidity ratios, for now, the current ratio in 2018 is 8.11 times. In 2019 is 6.10 times. In 2020, 4.61 times. Quick ratio in 2018 is 7.99 times. 2019, 6.03 times. 2020, 4.56 times. Net working capital 2018 is RM 3,535,183. 2019 RM 3,849,359. 2020 RM 2,561,622. Next, horizontal analysis of activity ratios. Inventory turnover in 2018 is 40.15 times, 2019 42.96 times, 2020 55.06 times. Average collection period 2018 is 69 days, 2019 81 days, 2020 52 days. Account receivable turnover 2018 5.25 times, 2019 4.42 times, 2020 6.96 times. Fixed assets turnover 2018 and 2019 has the same ratio, which is 0.37 times, 2020 0.42 times. Total assets turnover 2018 0.27 times, 2019 0.26 times, 2020 0.31 times. Next, horizontal analysis of leverage ratios. Debt ratio 2018 22%, 2019 24%, 2020 15%. Debt to equity 2018 29%, 2019 31%, 2020 17%. Time interest earned 2018 43.16 times, 2019 41.40 times, 2020 50.83 times. Lastly, horizontal analysis of profitability ratios. Gross profit margin 2018 43%, 2019 42%, 2020 46%. Operating profit margin 2018 48%, 2019 49%, 2020 44%. Net profit margin 2018 and 2019 has the same ratio, which is 37%, 2020 41%. Return on assets 2018 and 2019 has the same ratio, which is 10%, while 2020 13%. Return on equity 2018 and 2019 has the same ratio, which is 30%, while 2020 15%.
Alright, let's move on to horizontal analysis of Shell. Shell is our company's competitor. So for the liquidity ratios, we're going to start with current ratio first. In 2018, Shell collect 1.25 times of current ratio, while in 2019 it decreased to 1.16 times, and in 2020 it increased again to 1.23 times. Next is quick ratio. Shell collects 1.98 times quick ratio in 2018. Then in 2019 it decreased to 1.86 times, and in 2020 it increased again to 1.69 times. And next is net working capital. Shell collect 19,669 ringgit in 2018, while in 2019 it is 13,065 ringgit, and in 2020 it decreased to 16,744 ringgit. Alright, let's move to the horizontal analysis of activity ratios. Firstly, the inventory turnover. Shell collect 18.39 times in 2018, while in 2019 is 14.33 times, while in 2020 it decreased to 9.23 times. For average collection period, in 2018 it is 47 days, for 2019 it is 54 days, while in 2020 it is 82 days. Account receivable turnover, in 2018 it is 7.73 times, while in 2019 it decreased to 6.7 times, and it decreased again to 4.38 times in 2020. For fixed assets turnover, in 2018 it is 1.74 times, and in 2019 it is 1.45 times, and it decreased to 0.86 times in 2020. Next, for the total assets turnover, in 2018 it is 0.97 times. In 2019 it is 0.85 times, and it decreased to 0.48 times in 2020. Next, let's move to the horizontal analysis of leverage ratio. Firstly, it is the debt ratio. In 2018, Shell gets 19%, and in 2019 it increased to 24%. In 2020, it increased again to 28%. For debt to equity, in 2018 it is 38%, while in 2019 it increased to 51%, and in 2020 it increased again to 68%. For time interest earned, in 2018 it is 64.3 times, for 2019 it is 43.2 times, and unfortunately in 2020 it decreased to negative 184.71 times. For horizontal analysis of profitability ratios, firstly is the gross profit margin. In 2018, Shell collect 102%, while in 2019, also 102%. However, in 2020, it decreased a bit to 101%. Next is operating profit margin. In 2018, it is 93%, and it increased to 95% in 2019, and it increased again to 116% in 2020. Next is net profit margin. In 2018, Shell collects 6%, while in 2019 it decreased a bit to 5%, and in 2020 it decreased again to negative 12%. Next is return on assets. In 2018 it is 6%, in 2019 it decreased to 4%, and it decreased again to negative 6% in 2020. Next is return on equity. In 2018, shares collect 11%, and in 2019 it decreased to 9%, and it decreased again to negative 14% in 2020.
Next, I want to present about vertical analysis of liquidity ratios. As we can see in year 2018, 19 and 20, current ratio and quick ratio of Petronas is higher than Shell. Next, liquidity ratio net working capital in 2018, net working capital of Petronas is RM3535183 and grew marginally in 2019 and dropped dramatically in 2020. For Shell in 2018 is RM19669 and fell in 2019 and raised to in 2020. Then vertical analysis of activity ratios. Inventory turnover in 2018, 19 and 20 of Petronas is higher than Shell. Account receivable turnover in 2018 and 19 for Petronas is lower than Shell. Meanwhile, in 2020, Petronas is higher than Shell. Fixed assets and total assets turnover in 3 years of Petronas is lower than Shell. Activity ratio, average collection period in 2018, Petronas is 69 days and Shell is 47 days. Then in 2019, Petronas is 81 days and Shell is 54 days. And lastly, in 2020, for Petronas is 52 days and Shell is 82 days.
I would like presenting vertical analysis of leverage or solvency ratios. First of all is leverage ratio in 2018. Based on the graph of leverage or solvency ratio in 2018, we can see that the debt ratio for Petronas is 22%, lower than Shell which is 49%. After that, debt to equity for Shell is 97%, higher than Petronas shows 29%. Next is leverage ratio in 2019. According to the graph, leverage or solvency ratio in 2019, Petronas and Shell both have the same debt ratio of 24%. However, Petronas indicate the lower percentage than Shell for debt to equity, which is 31% and 51%. After that is leverage ratio in 2020. Using the above graph about leverage or solvency ratio in 2020 as a guide, we can state that Petronas debt ratio 50% is lower than Shell, which is 28%. Other than that, Shell still has a bigger percentage of debt to equity, which is 68%, as opposed to 70% of the two companies. Lastly, term interest earned in 2018, 2019 and 2020. A higher term interest earned ratio means that the company presents less risk to investors and creditors in terms of solvency. In 2018, Petronas has lower term interest earned 42.16 than Shell, 64.3. Next, Shell has higher terms interest earned, which is 43.2 than Petronas, 40.04 in 2019. In 2020, the term interest earned for Shell has fallen sharply to minus 184.71, while it has continued to increase for Petronas to 49.57. I would like presenting vertical analysis of profitability ratios. The bar chart illustrates the profitability ratios of Petronas and Shell in 2018. According to the bar chart, we can state that Petronas gross profit margin in 43% and operating profit margin is 48%, lowest than Shell, which is 102% and 93%. Moreover, net profit margin of Petronas is 37%, higher than Shell, which is minus 5%. In addition, return on assets 10% and return on equity 30% of Petronas is higher than return on assets 6% and return on equity 12% that collected by Shell. Next is profitability ratio in 2019. According to the graph profitability ratio in 2019 above, we can see that Petronas gross profit margin is 42% and operating profit margin is 49% lower than Shell, which is 102% and 95%. However, Petronas net profit margin is 27%, return on assets is 10% and return on equity is 30%, higher than Shell, which is 5%, 4% and 9%. Lastly is profitability ratio in 2020. From the graph profitability ratio in 2020 above, we can see gross profit margin 46% and operating profit margin is 54%. Of Petronas is lower than Shell, which is 101% and 116%. In addition, Petronas net profit margin is 41% and return on assets is 30%, is lower than Shell is negative, which is negative 11% and negative 5%. However, return on equity of Petronas is 15% higher than Shell, which is 13%.
Recommendation of Petronas. Recommendation for Petronas to actively participate in the sponsorship of more sports events and to develop alternative fuels such as converting plastic waste to fuels.
Shell company definitely have their ups and downs, so they need to function the setting that make use of cutting-edge technology. Other than that, Shell company must evaluate changes in competitive dynamics, and lastly, they need to use a variety of financial tools to manage their exposure.
Last but not least is conclusion. Based on the analysis of Petronas and Shell, it shows that financial analysis assesses a company's health and stability, providing insight into how the company operates. Different analyses may obtain different conclusions from the same data. As a result, we must conclude that financial statement analysis is only one instrument to use when making an investment decision. Furthermore, an accounting ratio is a calculation used to identify the comparison of two or more financial data points used to analyze a company's financial statements. It is also useful tools for shareholders, creditors, and holders of interest in various financial divisions to understand the company's profitable strength and financial position. All of these indicators are used to track business success and compare results to competitors. That's all from us. Thank you.
Can we skip to the good part?